Even if you're not really into working on your bike, every rider should know how to do a few fundamental tasks. So stick around, we're going to show you a few tools that we found over the years that make these basic tasks easier. Hi, I'm Dave, and welcome fellow canyon chasers. Every rider should know how to check tire pressure, lube and adjust a chain, remove a wheel, and a few other basic skills. Aside from the basic assortment of ratchets, wrenches, extensions, and screwdrivers, here's a list of our favorite garage tools that make basic day-to-day motorcycle maintenance easier. And finally, most of the tools we'll be telling you about are less than 30 bucks. Oh look, it's a hammer, wow. Okay, yeah, it's a hammer, but it's a special hammer.
You know, I really wish I had my hammer.
Your hammer?
Quite unique. It was made from this special metal from the heart of a Daimyo star.
Well, it's not that special. It's called a loaded or a dead blow hammer, and if you listen, you'll hear that there's sand inside the head of the hammer, and it's made of a soft, non-marring material. So when you tap on something with one of these, the material inside the head prevents the head from bouncing, which prevents damage to soft surfaces and improves the striking force, so you don't have to hit things very hard. This 1-pound dead blow hammer is one of the most used tools in the garage. It allows you to tap on things without damaging the thing you are tapping on. It's perfect for motivating sticky axles or anything that needs a little nudge to get moving. They come in a wide range of sizes, but we found the small one is the one that gets used the most because you shouldn't hit anything on your bike too hard. The one we link to in the description is like $10. Motorcycles not only use normal hex head bolts, but you're likely to see a lot of Allens or even Torx. These stupid things are miserable, but these Allen sockets get used all the time, like on every single job. Don't buy a cheap set. One thing you need to know when it comes to Allens, the cheap ones will ruin or strip the heads of bolts, where the quality ones are far less likely to hurt them. This Craftsman set, which is well over 20 years old, will run you about $15. You will want normal sockets and deep sockets. So if you're in the market, be sure to buy the 6-point ones, not the 12-point ones. 6-point sockets will be far less likely to damage bolts. I basically refuse to use 12-point sockets because they suck. Oh, and a bonus tip, chrome sockets are not for impact drivers. If you need to run an impact gun, get the purpose-built sockets for that job. Sometimes it's a lot faster and easier just to grab a T-handle. They are ideal for lighter tasks, and that's where these babies come in. A long arm for fast spins, and a short arm when you need more torque. Just like with the sockets, don't buy cheap, otherwise you'll just ruin your fasteners. This set from Klein is around 35 bucks, so you don't have to break the bank. You'll be tempted to buy these with ball ends. Ball ends are great for weird angles, but they're also a lot more likely to damage the bolt. So if you're only buying one set that will be used all the time, well, I'll just say that my ball end Allens rarely come out of the drawer, but these guys hang on the wall. So another tool that we just love is this sliding T-handle extension thing. It basically turns any socket on an extension into a T-handle or a breaker bar. And if you've never used T-handles, they're great. There are lots of sliding T-handles out there, but the nicer ones like this one have a detent in the center. So when you use it like a T-handle, it remains a T instead of constantly becoming an L. We love this thing so much that we probably end up using it more than a ratchet. This guy is currently listed at $13, but if the sliding thing is more complexity than you want in your life, Motion Pro also makes this awesome fixed T-handle, and it's actually even a few bucks cheaper. Next, we have the Motion Pro Air Chuck. So how is this different from one of these or one of these? Well, it is. Well, it is. This air chuck is amazing. This top part rotates so you can get it into tight places, like, behind your brake rotors. Plus, the way it seals around the valve is better than any other air chuck we've ever used. I know, it's an air chuck. It's a $30 air chuck. But when I told all the other Canyon Chaser team members, they didn't believe me either. But now, You'll find one of these in every one of our toolboxes. It's that good. But you're like, but I don't even have an air compressor. Well, that's another item that will just make your life easier. You don't need to have a big giant tank thing like this. You can get a little Pancake air compressor for as little as $60 to $100. Air up your tires before you head out for a ride, change grips in a snap. It also opens the world of air tools like impact drivers. Trust me, you want an air compressor. And now that you have an air compressor, there's no excuse for you to neglect your tire pressure. You need a quality tire gauge. How your bike behaves and how long your tires last is largely dependent upon your tire pressure. You need to stay on top of your tire pressure at all times. These suck. These are a joke. Pretty much any old crappy tire pressure gauge isn't worth the effort. We love this one from Intercom. We've tested it against gauges costing 3 and 4 times as much, and it's pretty much spot on. It's analog, so no batteries to worry about. But it's filled with liquid, making the gauge more accurate, as humidity and moisture changes can make a gauge less reliable. It also helps dampen vibrations in case you drop or bump your gauge, which you never ever should do if you want your gauge to remain accurate. You need to have blue thread lock, sometimes called Loctite, and anti-seize on hand all the time. Thread lock is amazing for preventing lost bolts and comes in different colors. Red is forever, but the blue is best for almost everything else. I love the stuff that works like chapstick. Just roll the tip of the bolt into the end and no muss, no fuss. Anti-seize keeps threads from getting stuck, and I use it all over the place. Cables, spark plugs, axle bolts, anything I want to come apart again. It comes in a few flavors. The most common are copper or aluminum. Copper is for higher temperature applications. Aluminum or silver is what you'll use the most. Anti-seize is the messiest stuff in the world, so to keep things clean, again, we love the chapstick style like this. So how tight should you make a bolt? Well, you really should have a torque wrench, but use a little bit of thread lock, gently seat the bolt, and then turn it about 1/8 of a turn. If you aren't very comfortable with that, and you kinda shouldn't be, then buy a decent torque wrench. You can find the torque specifications for your bike online and in forums, but a service manual is the best resource. Most people make bolts way too tight. So the previous owner of your bike didn't have a torque wrench and used the force of God on every bolt they touched. Or maybe you're working on an older bike. A lot of older Japanese bikes just have Phillips head screws on a lot of the fasteners, making them extremely hard to remove. If you ever have a problem with stuck screws and bolts, then it's good to have an impact screwdriver on hand. So these little guys, when you hit them, they have this spring tension ratchet thing that turns, but if the bolt is really stuck, it'll purposely slip so as not to strip the head. So the force of the impact keeps the head in place, the vibration of the impact helps break the threads free, and then the rotational forces encourage the bolt to turn. This tool doesn't get used a whole lot, but when it's needed, it's amazing, and they are typically less than $30. Cleaning and lubing your chain can be a dirty chore. We have an entire video dedicated to the process, but in that video we talk about this little guy with a goofy name, the Grease Ninja. By the way, this is the only thing we're talking about today that was given to us, but we've since purchased many more because it's kind of awesome. One of the problems with lubing your chain is that it's easy to get overspray all over your tire, your wheel, actually miss getting the lube onto your O-rings, or over-lubing your chain, which is actually a bad thing. But this little guy sits on top of the chain and directs the chain lube directly over the O-rings, providing lubrication right where you need it most, providing the best lubrication between the chain and the sprockets, and protecting the O-rings from damaging UV rays and whatnot. They come in a few sizes depending on your specific chain and will set you back a mere $15. Enhancements to the modern gas can has made them a horrible thing for motorcycles. Vent-free spouts mean that all you really end up doing is spilling gas all over your tank and soaking your hands in fuel. However, you can still get these utility jugs from companies like VP Fuel. The challenge with these has always been the spout is difficult to manage when you are fueling your bike by yourself, but Stroker Industries solved that with their utility jug, valve, and hose. These things are brilliant. Get the utility jug into position and depress the button to open the valve and allow the liquid to flow. We've put links to each of these in the description below, and all of them, with the exception of the Grease Ninja, we purchased on our own. In other words, nobody has paid us to say anything in this video. If you have any tools that you use that have made motorcycle maintenance better for you, please share them in the comments. And if you'd like us to cover any basic motorcycle task in its own video, let us know also in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and ride well.